Okay, so this is part 3 on the perspective study in Adobe Photoshop. So we're going to finish up this little scene here. I want you to take the ground layer and go to Image Adjustments Levels. You don't have to do this, but I think it looks better. And then I took the middle slider and I just push it to the right some because I kind of wanted it to look more like, like the street, like asphalt instead of cement. So you can skip this part if you want, but I just think it looks cool. All right, so we have the ground darkened a little bit more now. Now we're going to go to Layer, New Layer, and name this layer Tree. I'm going to show you how a really cool Photoshop feature. So we have this layer. It's very important to make the layer first. You have to do that first. Then go Filter, Render, and choose Tree. And then it gives you this option to just design your own tree. It's really cool. If you open up the tree type, it gives you all these different kinds. You can pick whatever you want. It lets you adjust the lighting so that the sun's coming from the top or the side. It's really fun to play around with. So feel free to pick any tree and experiment with that. And there you go. There's a tree. So of course we have to drag it below some of the layers here. I'm going to size it, Control T, and move it so that it looks like it's behind the walls, kind of like there's a park over there on that other side of these walls. I'm going to put this one over here on this side though. I'm just going to have the top of it showing so that it's kind of, on the other side, not really taking up space on my art. All right, so I'm going to make another one. You have to make a new layer each time you do it though. Remember that. Then go to Filter, Render Tree again. Then I'm going to go to the tree type, and this time I'm going to get it something different. You can experiment, like I said, and see what all the different kinds look like. Press OK. And you can use Control T to move it around and size it. I'm just going to put it back here, kind of like there's a playground or a park or someone's property behind those walls. All right, I think I'll just make one more. Tree 3 layer. Filter, Render, Tree. And you can put these wherever you want. I don't really care. I just wanted mine behind the wall so that you could see my graffiti. I didn't want to cover up those graffiti walls because I thought they looked cool. Control T. And I'm going to put it over there next to that pink tree. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So the next thing I want to show you how to do is to make a new layer. Go Layer, New Layer again. It's not another tree this time. This time we're going to make shadows. So call that layer Shadows, and then get black as your color and your foreground picker, and get Brush tool, and open up your brush options and make a soft brush, and make a pretty big size brush, and put some black on the street in front of those walls. Now I know that looks really drastic, but we're going to lighten it in a little while. So just go ahead and make black like there's shadows coming out from the side of those walls. Like that. And then go to your Layers tab, and you don't have to do this, but you can put on Darken, but you have to lower the opacity because you don't want them to be too dark. See how when I lighten the opacity, it just becomes more subtle. You don't need those big black blobs there, so just lighten the opacity. Now we're going to organize our file a little bit better. So I'm going to hold the Shift key and click everything that I had, all those different background options I had. So I'm going to Shift click and get all 4 of those and go Layer, Group Layers. I want to put them all in a folder so my files are organized. I know a lot of beginning Photoshop students like to skip this part, but it is something that's on the certification test, so it is important to know how to do that, and it's easy. So just Shift click to collect all of them, and then go Layer, Group Layers, or you can do Control G and then name them Trees. Alright, that just makes your file easier to navigate when you're working if you put them all in groups like that. Alright, I kind of want to fix my wall, those gray brick walls. I want to change the perspective. I'm not super happy with them. So I'm going to go get my grid again. View, show grid. And then I'm going to go in my folder that has the left wall and open that folder. And then I'm going to click on the gray wall. That's the right layer. I'm just checking. Okay, so the gray layer. And then I'm going to do Control T. And then hold the Control key to do the warping again. I just want to make my perspective a little more drastic. I feel like the walls looked really short. I want to make it look like it's going a longer distance. So I'm just going to pull the top and bottom on the right hand side, those two corner points, and then press the check mark when you're done. Then I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Get the gray wall layer, and then do Control T, and then hold the Control key and pull down on those corners. Just want to make my perspective a little more drastic. Make it smaller on the far end so it makes it look like the wall is longer. And press the check mark when you're done. I feel like it needs a little bit more. I'm going to speed it up while I edit this to my liking. You can edit it as many times as you need. I'm going to turn off the grid. Make sure you turn off the grid when you're done because it will come on all your pictures that you open if you don't, and it's kind of distracting. So I'm just moving some things around and sizing it. I'm going to do this wall again a little bit more. Alright, now I'm going to copy this car and paste it in here. I'm going to pull it as the top layer. Do Control T to make it smaller. I'm going to make it look like this car is just parked over here, like it's a parking spot. And then I'm going to put shadows. It doesn't look realistic until I put some shadows. So I'm going to go on my shadow layer, get the black brush again, this time make it a little smaller, and just darken up underneath the car. And it looks a lot more realistic if you take the time to do the shadows. Now it looks like it's actually sitting there. Alright, I want to make my car a different color. You can skip this part too, but if you want to change it, go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. I saturated mine and I'm going to make it look more like a tealish seafoam green color. You don't have to do that either, but it's just something you can try if you're interested in. Alright, so that is our perspective study. So don't forget when you're done with it to type your name. And I'm going to make my font a little bigger. And then I'm going to move it over to the right a little bit, and then I'm going to save my file. I had already saved it before, so it's a Photoshop file. And then I also need to save a copy of it as a JPEG. So go File, Save As, choose JPEG, and that's the file that you're going to put on your Google Slide portfolio to turn it in for a grade.